Have you ever noticed how the most dangerous person in the room is often the one who says the least? Most of us are taught that to defend ourselves, we have to speak up, argue, and win the conversation. But this is a trap that keeps you chained to your opponent's ego. The truth is, when you react to a controller, you aren't fighting them, you're feeding them. In the world of psychology, your reaction is the currency they use to buy power over your mental health. We live in a society that mistakes noise for authority. Yet Carl Jung understood that the loudest voice usually hides the deepest insecurity. If you've been struggling with handling difficult people who try to boss you around, you've likely felt the exhaustion of constant shadow boxing. You try to set boundaries with words, but they just use those words as weapons against you. It's a cycle that drains your emotional intelligence and leaves your inner peace in tatters. But what if I told you that your greatest weapon is actually the power of silence? It's a counterintuitive truth. The moment you stop explaining yourself is the moment you reclaim your soul. By choosing silence, you stop playing the game entirely, turning your presence into an invisible mirror that forces the other person to face their own shadow. This isn't just about winning. It's about a radical shift in self-improvement and psychological growth. Today, we are going to dive deep into the Jungian perspective of the silent observer. We'll explore how to build a fortress of mindfulness and stoicism that no manipulator can breach. If you are ready to stop being a puppet to other people's whims and start hearing your own heart again, then you are ready to master the ultimate psychological leverage. Let's look at how doing absolutely nothing can become the most powerful thing you've ever done. When a person decides to boss others around or ignite a petty argument, they are essentially casting a fishing line, waiting for the bite of anger. This is a primitive play for dominance, where the ego seeks validation through conflict, desperate for a reaction to feel real. By choosing silence, one effectively cuts the line, refusing to participate in a projection that isn't theirs to carry. It's like a game of catch. If someone throws a mean ball and the other person simply lets it drop, the game dies right there. The power of silence lies in its ability to neutralize the shadow of the aggressor, leaving their hostility with nowhere to land and no fuel to burn. When a difficult friend tries to goad someone into a fight, staying quiet isn't a sign of weakness. It's a masterclass in emotional intelligence. Without a counterattack to justify their behavior, the controller's influence begins to evaporate into the void. It's a move that protects mental health by refusing to engage in a low-frequency exchange that yields nothing but exhaustion. Practically speaking, if a coworker tries to belittle a project in front of a group, one might simply look at them with a calm, neutral expression for 3 seconds without saying a word. This pause acts as a psychological barrier, forcing the room to sit with the awkwardness of the attack. In psychology, this is known as refusing the hooks of the other person's neurosis, and it is a fundamental step in self-improvement. One could even think of it as a form of stoicism in action, where the only thing that matters is one's own internal response. By maintaining these boundaries, a person transitions from a victim of circumstance to an observer of the collective unconscious playing out in real time. Carl Jung often noted that what we resist persists, but what we look at directly loses its power over us. Silence is that direct gaze, a quiet refusal to be a pawn in someone else's internal war. This simple act of disengagement starts a process of psychological growth that most people never even realize is happening. But what happens when that silence starts to reflect things they aren't ready to see? When one remains quiet while a controller is being loud, that silence begins to act as a cold, polished mirror. Most people who lash out are desperately looking for a reaction, any reaction, to justify their own chaotic internal state and hide their bad behavior. But when met with a calm, steady gaze, they find no place to hang their guilt, leaving them standing alone with their own shadow, at home or in the heat of a messy argument. This stillness forces the other person to actually hear the echoes of their own mean words. This technique is a profound tool for inner peace because it stops the cycle of projection right in its tracks. In psychology, we see that people often use others as a dumping ground for the traits they hate in themselves. But silence acts as a shield that reflects those traits back to the sender. It's a move that builds immense emotional intelligence, as it requires one to stay centered while the storm rages outside. By not reacting, you aren't just winning a fight, you're inviting the other person into a moment of unintentional shadow work. Imagine a scenario where a family member tries to guilt-trip you during dinner by making a passive-aggressive comment about your life choices. Instead of defending yourself, You simply take a slow sip of water and look them in the eye with a small, knowing smile. This creates a vacuum that they will inevitably try to fill with more words, often stumbling and revealing their own insecurity. It's a practical application of mindfulness that preserves your energy while highlighting the absurdity of their control tactics. Developing this kind of psychological growth turns you into a silent observer of the human comedy, rather than a stressed participant. You'll start to notice that the more someone tries to dominate the space with noise, the more uncomfortable they become when that noise isn't reciprocated. This uncomfortable tension is actually a gift. It is the friction required for them to potentially experience a breakthrough. But to keep this mirror clear, one must first ensure that their own internal sanctuary is locked tight against intruders. Imagine your mind is like a beautiful quiet house, a sanctuary built for the process of individuation and psychological growth. When people try to control or manipulate you, they are essentially trying to break into that house and track mud all over your carpets. Silence acts as a strong, invisible lock on the door, a boundary that doesn't need to be shouted to be felt. You don't have to explain your floor plan or argue about the decor. You simply decide who gets a key to your inner peace. By refusing to engage in an argument, you are practicing a high level of emotional intelligence that keeps your mental furniture exactly where you want it. In the world of Jung, protecting one's psychic space is vital for self-improvement, as it prevents the noise of the collective unconscious from drowning out your own soul. Using silence tells the world, and more importantly, yourself, that others do not have permission to change how you feel inside. It is a form of stoicism that treats your internal state as a fortress rather than a public park. For example, if you have a friend who constantly demands your time or tries to direct your career, you don't need a long, dramatic confrontation. You can simply stop over-explaining your no and use the power of silence after stating your boundary. If they ask, "Why can't you come?" a simple, calm, "It doesn't work for me," followed by a quiet pause, is far more effective than a list of excuses. This practice of mindfulness ensures you aren't leaking energy to people who haven't earned a seat at your table. Staying silent is the ultimate way of handling difficult people, because it demonstrates that your value isn't up for debate. When you stop giving away your peace as a tribute to other people's egos, you start to feel a sense of stability that no external storm can shake. This internal lockdown isn't about being cold. It's about being healthy and maintaining clear boundaries for your mental health. However, once the door is locked, you might start to wonder who the real master of the house actually is. People who try to control others often talk a mile a minute because deep down, they are actually scared or feel incredibly small. They use a mountain of words to try to seem big and imposing, hoping the noise will mask their own internal fragility and lack of inner peace. When you stay quiet in a high-stakes meeting or during a difficult talk, you are demonstrating that you are the true boss of your own feelings. This silence shows that you have the power of silence and the strength to wait. And usually, the person who can stay quiet the longest is the one who is truly in charge. In the realm of psychology, we recognize that the ego is loud, but the self is quiet and resolute. By practicing mindfulness in the face of an aggressor, you are aligning yourself with a higher level of emotional intelligence that doesn't need to bark to be heard. It is a fundamental law of self-improvement that the one who controls their tongue controls the situation. While the other person is busy leaking energy through their mouth, you are consolidating your power, becoming a pillar of stoicism that cannot be moved. Think of a time when a boss or a partner tried to pressure you into an immediate decision by talking over you, instead of rushing to fill the gaps. Try counting to 5 in your head before responding, or better yet, don't respond at all until they ask a direct question. This shift in the dynamic is a practical way of handling difficult people because it forces them to play on your terms. You are setting firm boundaries not with a shout, but with the heavy weight of your presence, which is essential for long-term mental health. As you master this, you'll find that Carl Jung was right. Those who look outside dream, those who look inside awake. Your quietness is an awakening, a sign of profound psychological growth that intimidates those who live only on the surface. When you stop trying to outtalk the controller, you reclaim the crown of your own psyche and stop being a subject in their kingdom. But once you've secured your throne and silenced the external noise, a new sound begins to emerge from the depths of your own being. If you spend all your time and energy arguing with people who want to control you, you'll never be able to hear your own heart. Silence is like turning off a loud, distorted TV in a crowded room so you can finally hear yourself think and feel again. When you stop talking to fix or save other people from their own shadow, you suddenly have a massive surplus of energy to do things that actually make you happy. This withdrawal from the external conflict is a vital stage of psychological growth, allowing the soul to breathe without the suffocating weight of someone else's expectations. In psychology, we understand that the constant noise of external demands can lead to a fragmented sense of self by embracing the power of silence. You are creating a sacred space for your own self-improvement and mental health. It is within this stillness that you begin to recognize which thoughts are truly yours and which ones were planted there by a controlling parent, boss, or partner. Choosing inner peace over a winning argument is a clear sign of high emotional intelligence, as it prioritizes your long-term evolution over a short-term ego victory. To put this into practice, you might dedicate 30 minutes a day to total silence. No phone, no music, just you and your own breath. You could even explore a practice like the silence of the mind, where you observe your thoughts without engaging in them. Much like the principles found in mindfulness, or even a beginner's guide to Stoicism, like Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, these moments of quiet act as a laboratory for shadow work, where you can safely examine your fears without the interference of a difficult person's judgment. Ultimately, silence helps you remember who you really are. Away from everyone else's rules and projections, it is the bridge to your true self, the center of the personality that Carl Jung spent his life exploring. When you stop reacting to the world, you finally start responding to your own soul's calling, setting the stage for a life of authentic boundaries and purpose. But as you finally settle into this deep, personal quiet, you might find that the most powerful thing you've ever said is nothing at all. Now that you have the keys to this fortress of silence, the question is, will you continue to let others rent space in your head for free? Or are you ready to evict them? True inner peace isn't found in having the last word, but in realizing that most words aren't even worth saying. This is your journey of psychological growth. Don't let the noise of the world drown out the whisper of your own self-improvement. Are you brave enough to sit in the awkward quiet until the other person's mask finally slips? Have you noticed how your mental health shifts when you stop trying to control the uncontrollable? I challenge you to try the 3-second pause in your next difficult conversation and watch the power dynamic shift in real time. It's time to stop reacting and start existing as a solid, immovable force of emotional intelligence. If this deep dive into the power of silence and the wisdom of Carl Jung resonated with your shadow, then join our community of seekers. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell right now so you never miss a step in your path toward mindfulness and mastery. Your journey into the depths of psychology is just beginning, and the most profound truths are waiting for you in the quiet.